Hello, I'm Josiah Witt from Exploring Cinematography. Let me tell you about something I learned the hard way. So as I was building out my camera rig, I wanted to explore manual focus. So I got a follow focus. I already had a Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens, which I enjoyed for the past couple years, but I wanted something a bit wider for a handheld rig. So I got the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Now these Sigma lenses have focus by wire, which means moving the focus ring is not directly connected to what moves inside the lens. It's electronic, which is fine. But the deal breaker is that these lenses don't support linear focus on Sony E-mount. So what's the difference between linear focus and non-linear focus? Let me show you. Alright, so here we have my Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens with rubber focus gear attached and my focus wheel. So let's get the 35mm in focus. There we go. So let's say we want to rack focus between my 35mm and my 55mm lens. Turn the focus wheel. It's like 3/4. Let's go back. Cool. Let's say we want it to go a bit faster. And I just did less than half a turn. We're way past it. Let's say we want to go a bit slower. There we go. So that's what nonlinear focusing is. The distance at which you turn the focus wheel is not the only influence. It's also the speed, which makes it very unpredictable. You can't practice ahead of time and definitely nail focus. You can't use any of these guides to go between 2 points. It's not always consistent. So yeah, that's what nonlinear focusing is. So what's the solution? A lens that supports linear focus, preferably one that has a direct connection between the focus ring and what moves inside the lens, though that's not required. Now there are two major types of lenses. There are photography lenses, like my Sigma lenses, and there are cine lenses. Now photography lenses are aimed at photography, where something like a non-linear focus isn't a big deal. Maybe it's even preferred. And they support autofocus, usually. Cine lenses, on the other hand, are only manual focus, but they have a direct connection between the focus ring, or it's usually a gear, and what moves inside the lens, which is important for manual focus. As you can see, it's a lot easier to get a consistent result racking focus with a lens that supports linear focus. Now some photography lenses do support linear focus as well, so you don't have to rule them completely out. The other thing that photography lenses have is they're really sharp, usually, which is important for photographers. Cine lenses, on the other hand, aren't necessarily as sharp because some cinematographers kind of prefer the lack of sharpness from an artistic point of view. After I learned my mistake, I started researching cine lenses, and I found these Sirui Nightwalker lenses. They just barely came out. Look for a review coming soon. These lenses are on the very budget end of the cine lens spectrum. Cine lenses are usually tens of thousands of dollars. These are hundreds. But so far I like it. Now, will I be getting rid of my Sigma 16mm? I don't think so. This lens still has a purpose. It's great at autofocus, and sometimes you need autofocus, for example, with gimbal work when you're doing it by yourself. So, the moral of the story here is to know your lenses and what you need them for. If you want to do manual focus, you definitely need a linear focus lens and maybe even look at a cine lens. If you need autofocus, then you probably want a photography lens unless you want a bunch of other gadgets to go along with your cine lens. So, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Also, mention what you want me to explore next. And if you want to join me on my journey of exploring cinematography, please subscribe. Stay creative.